Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Today, we're going to talk about pistol magazines, specifically Glock magazines, and specifically Magpul Glock magazines versus Glock OEM magazines. If you're new to the channel as well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to subscribe. If you don't know me, my name is Billy. I'm a firearms instructor based out of North Carolina. Also a member of the Spec Train cadre, so check out the Spec Train channel as well. I've got some cool videos over there. So, if you follow the channel, you know I've been posting some videos about this gun lately. This is the Zev OZ9, one of my newest guns, one of my favorite guns, and I've been posting a lot of videos about this gun. And one of the #1 things that have been commented on those videos, surprisingly enough, took me totally off guard, was a bunch of surprise and, dare I say, disappointment or even maybe outrage about the fact that the OZ9 comes with PMAGs. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, first of all, Magpul is a company that's best known for making these, right? These are AR-15 magazines, the new Gen M3, older Gen M2 with a mag pod on there. I like these mags a lot. So if you run AR-15s a lot, you know about Magpul, right? Because if if you're running your AR-15 and you want it to perform as best as possible, you better be running PMAGs, or if you're running GI mags, you better be running the Magpul followers in those magazines. So Magpul definitely knows what they're doing when it comes to making magazines. Now, recently they brought to market the PMAGs. That's not a PMAG, that's a Glock mag. The PMAGs, pardon me. So, and this is a sort of a very budget-friendly offering that came to market. It is much more affordable than the Glock magazine is. Even these fancy ones that I run a lot, these are the 21 rounders. Generally I can get these for like 17, 18 bucks versus, well over 20, even $30 for a Glock 17 round magazine. And of course, if I want a higher capacity mag like this one, or like the 27 round version that Magpul makes, I've got to buy from Glock a 17 round mag, and then I've got to buy an aftermarket base pad, and both of these parts are going to be significantly more expensive than this one magazine. So this is more than double, probably 3 times the cost of what this is. So this is very cool, and we're glad to have that on the market as a more affordable option for our magazines. A lot of people seem really skeptical about the Magpul magazines and about their performance, and I have seen some folks out there that have reported some issues. However, every single issue I've seen reported has all been on the internet. I've been running, over the last 2 years or so, Magpul mags almost exclusively in my Glocks, and I've been shooting them a lot, and I've been running them very heavily, and they perform very well. These are my 21 round PMAGs that I've been running very heavily, and these are my 17 round. These aren't all of them. I've got some 15 rounds as well, the Magpul PMAGs for Glock, and they have been performing very, very well. They have not been causing any sort of malfunctions in my guns whatsoever. There are some pros and cons between the PMAGs and the Glock mags I'm going to talk about. But as far as performance, malfunctions, anything like that, I've had 0 issues out of my PMAGs. 0 of any kind. So what I'm going to do is talk about how they fit, how they run, some of the pros and cons between these, and I'm going to talk about how they run out of different guns as well. I know some of you guys are definitely going to be interested in just like, hey, what's it do in a plain old Glock? I know about that. Some of you guys are going to be interested, since this is the topic of the hour, how they run in the OZ9. I can tell you about that. And I've also got the Polymer 80, which a lot of you guys are interested in as well. And I've run all these mags out of all these guns. So let's talk about it. #1, I've already gotten into it a little bit. Huge advantage to the PMAG is price. Not only price of apples to apples, 17 versus 17, but they've brought these really affordable options to the market with the 21 and the 27 round offerings, which is the most affordable way to get a reliable, higher capacity magazine to run in your Glock. Why might you want that? Well, clearly, I'm probably not going to conceal carry this magazine, right? It's just too big for the most part in the gun. However, I do carry either a magazine like this or a magazine like this as my reload, right? Because when that magazine is oriented in my belt line vertically, how tall it is really doesn't impact how concealable it is. I know that may sound counterintuitive, but it's true. The little extra length on this doesn't impact how concealable it is. So I do like running these for that purpose. And if I was going to run this in a duty capacity, I don't know. I don't think running that magazine in sort of a open carry scenario is a problem. I really don't. It's certainly not a problem to carry one of these in a belt pouch holster, on a plate carrier or chest rig, anything like that. I think they run very, very well. So having a little bit of extra capacity in your magazine is certainly nice to have. And of course, these are nice to have for competition. They are competition legal, even for like carry optics, right? So they're good for that use as well. Moving on, obviously, pro in the Magpul column. A pro in the Glock column is telling how much ammo you have in your magazines, right? So the cool thing with the Glocks is they have the witness marks in the back for each and every single round that you load in your magazine, versus the Magpul mags, which do not. So I have a 15-round mag here. The witness mark is on the side, and it only tells you if the magazine is completely full. Same thing for the 17-round. It only tells you if it's completely full. Similar thing for the 21 round. It has 3 now, but it only tells you when there's 10, 15, or 21 rounds in your magazine, nothing in between. So for tactical use, if you're just loading your mags up all the way, all the time, then you don't need to worry about that. But if you're ever trying to load specific round counts in your magazines for drills, stages, whatever the case may be, this can be super irritating, not being able to see how many rounds are left exactly in your magazine. That's one thing that I wish PMAG did differently. Another huge pro in the PMAG column is the factory base plates that they come with. So the Glock factory base plates are very slim, very minimalistic, and so when you are ever trying to run a magwell, you'll notice that it's basically impossible to strip this magazine out of this gun. In the event that I had a double feed, for whatever reason I need to strip this magazine, it's pretty much impossible because I can't get my fingers on here. Again, that's when I'm running a magwell. It's still more difficult with a factory gun, but of course, because of Glock has included these notches in here and so forth, where I can kind of get around the magazine this way, it is possible to strip the magazine out of the gun. By the way, I hate these notches because the mag gets stuck in them a lot of times when you're reloading. So it's a pro and a con there, again, for Glock. How does PMAG solve that? Well, they solve that with this kind of base plate. So number one, it's thicker, it's ribbed, and it's tapered. So it gets fatter as it comes out, which gives you area to pull on it. So this is, again, the same capacity, 15-round mag. I load that in my gun with the magwell. You'll notice that it protrudes a little bit, just a tiny bit farther. Let me get in good lighting. Hopefully you can see that below the magwell so that I can grab that and strip it out very easily. Same thing with a factory gun that does not have a magwell. It protrudes where if I have these notches filled in, which I would highly recommend, I can still strip it very easily from the sides. So, huge pro in the Magpul column. The same thing goes for maintenance. If I am cleaning these magazines with the Magpul mags, it is way, way, way easier to get this base plate off. I can literally just grab like a bullet, or even I can do this with a pen, or just about do it with my finger, right? But I can depress the plunger, and this end cap just slides right off, follower and spring come out, and then just as easily I can slide those right back in the gun and I'm ready to go. For those of you that ever messed with Glock mags, you know that getting this off pretty much requires a tool. It requires a tool that depresses that little button and then either squeezes the sides of your mags or like levers it off. It takes a lot of force. It's not easy. And it's a real pain to clean Glock mags. So that's a huge pro for Magpul. It's one of the reasons, by the way, side note, why I like these Zev base pads so much. If you're going to run metal base pads, a lot of times they're difficult to get on your gun. They use set screws or whatever. In this case, I literally just pull down this little latch, slide this gate right off, spring and follower come out of the gun, depress it back in there, close the gate, and you're done that easily. So the Zev base pads are really good for that as well. So that's a huge pro for the Magpul column. Now, I want to get to the real meat and potatoes of this, which is one of the main issues I've seen with the Magpul mags that caused me a great deal of concern when I first got them. Not sure how they feel about it now. We'll get into that. So, because one of the biggest differences in design on the Magpul versus Glock is Glock has the metal internal sort of frame, if you will. When you look at the inside of the feed lips, you'll see metal protruding. That's because there's sort of like a metal sheath inside of all of this polymer. Magpul doesn't have that. It's pure plastic. And that works really well for their pure polymer AR mags, right? The issue with this is that when it is fully loaded, it does tend to swell ever so slightly. So what this means is that when your magazine is full, it may stick in your gun and not drop freely. So as an example, the one where this happens the most to me is the polymer 80 frame. For whatever reason, it's like a little bit tighter than Glock. So if I take the fully loaded 15-round magazine and put it in the Glock and depress the magazine release, you'll notice that it will not fall out at all. Even if I shake this gun, it's not coming out. I have to strip the mag. That's not the case, mind you, with an empty mag, right? So if I ran out of ammo, I need to reload, and I had an empty magazine in the gun, that will fall free every single time, no issues. But when it's completely full, it will tend to stick in the gun. Same thing goes for a fully loaded 17-round mag. It will stick as well. Compare that to the Glock gun, 15-round mag, fully loaded PMAG again. It will drop free sometimes, but there is an extra little sticky spot right here where I can get the mag to stick, where I could never do that with a Glock mag, right? It's going to just fall out every single time. So a little bit more sticky. Same thing with the 17-round mag. Most of the time it will drop free by itself, but there is that extra little sticky spot right there where there's a little bit more resistance. With the OZ9, it's interesting. I can't use the 15-round mag, right, because it's a Glock 17 size gun, but when I put the fully loaded Glock 17 size magazine in there, this is the PMAG, it still drops free every single time out of the OZ9. This is the only gun I found that will reliably drop fully loaded PMAGs every single time. So, when I first got that, and I found that out, I was a little bit concerned, right? I'm like, these mags aren't dropping free, they're getting stuck in my gun, this is a problem. Here's what I've kind of grown to think about it. I'm not saying this is a design feature you should look for in every single one of your mags moving forward, but it worked out being kind of cool. The only time, again, with the PMAGs, I just want to emphasize, when they're empty, they don't stick. I've had zero issues with them sticking in any one of my guns. OZ9, Polymer 80, Factory Glock Gen 5, every gun I've tried, these drop free, no problem. So, in an emergency reload situation, no problem whatsoever, right? So when could it be a problem? Well, it could be a problem, or could it be a problem if I'm trying to do a tack reload? Where I have a magazine in the gun already and I'm trying to do a tack reload. Well, the thing I've seen about this is that some folks actually hit the magazine release a little bit early and end up dropping the mag out as the new mag is coming up, and they end up dropping it accidentally and not being able to catch it because it falls out too easily. So a cool thing about having this is that when I come up to do my tack reload, I can now strip this out like I'm supposed to, insert the new mag, stow this, and it's almost a little bit of extra security that I'm not going to lose the mag that was in the gun already. What about if my mag is truly all the way full? Would I ever need to get it out of the gun? Well, the only time it's liable to be coming out of the gun is when I don't mean for it to. So let's say I have this holstered and I accidentally hit my magazine release, against my belt or something, or my holster, or whatever the case may be. Or let's say that when I was loading that morning or before that rep or whatever, I didn't seat the mag all of the way. What generally happens, we see this online all the time when folks don't seat their mag all the way, is they get online, they shoot their first round, bam, and the mag falls and hits the dirt, and they're sitting there with an empty gun. An empty gun and a magazine in the dirt, right? They've lost that magazine. So at that point, it doesn't even make sense to tap rack because the gun is empty. There's no magazine in the gun. In my case, if I didn't get it in all the way, what's liable to happen is it goes bam, goes off, click, tap, rack, and now I've seated that magazine because it was actually still in the gun. So in that case, having a magazine that only sticks in the gun when it's completely full might kind of be an advantage. Again, I haven't really vetted that with a bunch of my peers in the instructor community or whatever, but something I'm thinking about and tuning about and playing around with. Again, I haven't seen any issue with the mag unless it was completely, totally full. So, something to think about there. That may be a cool feature of the Magpul PMAG that they may or may not have put in there intentionally. I really, really don't know. But so, other than that, guys, I have seen literally zero issues with the PMAG whatsoever. Functionally, reliably, over tens of thousands of rounds through these magazines right here, I have seen zero issues with any of them, as far as feeding, extracting, anything of that nature. They've caused zero malfunctions in my guns. I've had no issues with them. So I absolutely put my stamp of approval behind the PMAGs, as long as you're aware of that one issue, that when the mags are full, they may tend to stick in the gun a little bit. Again, remember, the only gun that it sticks in really reliably for me is the Polymer 80. So if we're talking about a factory Glock, most of the time it's going to drop free in a reload scenario, even when it's completely full. It's a little bit more sticky right there. It's a little bit more sticky, and if I prep it just right, I can get it to sit there. But if it's loaded and I drop it, it drops free by itself. So even in a regular Glock, it's not an issue. And like I said, it's not an issue in the OZ9. And it's not an issue that I've been able to find with the 21 round mags as well. Those drop free with no issue, even when fully loaded. So as long as you're aware of that and that doesn't cause you to spin out and have a lot of concern or anxiety about fully loaded mags not falling out of your gun, then I think these mags are fantastic, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who wants a good, reliable Glock magazine at a much more budget-friendly price point versus standard Glock mags. While we're talking about mags really quickly, let me say this versus this, right? You guys see me running these a lot in competition. To be completely honest with you, the reason I have these is because Zev sent them out for me. And if you are going to be running metal base pads, I do think these are the best out there because of that feature that I just described, where they're so easy to clean. I can disassemble them with one hand. Just that easy, right? I can disassemble them with one hand, and then I can put the gate back on. So I have yet to see running matches, anything like that, any other magazine that is that easy to disassemble and reassemble. And I also have seen a lot of other base pads that basically will explode every time they drop on the ground. STI is a big offender there. Terran Tactical is a big offender there. I see those things just exploding and spewing ammo and springs and parts all over the range on a pretty regular basis. These things get dropped all the time. You can see how banged up they are. I've had zero actual damage on these guys, and they've performed really well. So if you are going to run a base pad, highly recommend these. What does this get you versus this for double or triple the price? Well, what it gets you is 1 or 2 extra rounds, right? So not a huge difference maker there. And it also gives you a little bit of extra weight on the bottom of the base pad, right? So when you are doing an emergency reload, that extra weight down here helps pull the mag out of the gun very quickly. Helps it drop free. If there's dirt or whatever, it may help it fall out when the magazine would have stuck. So that's a cool feature. And some people really like these as well for helping the reloads be more reliable. They say that when you come down and grab the base pad, they feel like it gives you a better place to grab the mag and feed it into the gun more reliably. To be honest, I haven't found that to be a big difference maker for me. Having that base pad has not improved my reloads, I don't think, versus the PMAGs, right? So for most people, these are going to be the ticket just because of affordability and how cheap they are. I'm not associated with Magpul or these or any whatsoever. We are sponsored as SpecTrain by ZevTech, and I'm just being completely honest with you. These are fantastic, but for most of you, I do think this is probably the way to go if you're looking to be budget friendly to that money. If you want to go Gucci and money's on an object, absolutely get these. They're fantastic. So that's my thoughts, guys, on mags in general, but specifically PMAGs versus Glock mags. Hope that was helpful. Please leave a comment below if your experience has differed. I would love to know what specific PMAGs you had issues with, what guns specifically they caused an issue with, and what specific issue they caused. So far, anyone who's complained about the PMAGs causing issues with their guns has said it caused their gun to jam, which isn't an actual malfunction that happens. It doesn't mean anything. So let me know what happened. Is it causing double feeds? Is it causing failure to extract? Is it causing failure to feed? Like, what exactly is it actually causing on the gun. For my personal education, if you're finding something different than me, I would love to hear about it. If you feel the same that I do, if you've had zero issues out of these mags, I would love to hear that as well. Also, let me know if there's anything else that you want to hear about, any questions you have. I'll be glad to try to bring you another video from the COVID-19 self-quarantine zone, since we're here in the shop making videos instead of being out on the range. If you like this video, you want to see more, please subscribe. It helps me get videos out to more and more people, since YouTube is not spreading gun-friendly videos around the interwebs whatsoever and helping people find these videos. So help me out and subscribe. With that, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.